in all places where we have chapters at. We definitely don't take that lightly. We appreciate your support coming here and your support what you have been doing financially also. We love everybody. But we finna, Brother Joe ain't no joke, man. That brother be going in, he grabs some things out of the scripture that you'll just skim over and highlight and be like, man, that's good, man. So I always love to hear him teach, because he always have good nuggets that you can internalize and use for what you're already doing. But today we're gonna really, if you ever had a problem with understanding the Jewish people versus us, because it has been said that they are the people.
That's right.
Now you got two people, two nations claiming to be people. Now usually you would ask, well, nobody really questioned the Jewish people. We just always said, well, they the people. That's what was said. It'd be on TV. They got to be the people. They over there in the land, and they keeping what we call, you know, look like they keeping the Bible or the Torah. So hey, they are the people. But today, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to eradicate that completely.
Yes, sir.
Well, you'll have no thought again. You're going to see some things today that's going to blow you away. You're going to see some things today about Hitler. It's going to blow you away.
Come on.
I've been twice in the last month. Hitler done came to my mind about something. I think that's probably why I'm going to bring him up.
Amen. Man, the Spirit was bringing it to you. Going to show you some things. Because it's always good, even when you're a minister and you get into counseling, to know two sides of the story. Somebody can tell one side and they can bash the other person. If you just go off that, you ain't no good counselor. Right. Because you just going to get their energy and bring that energy to the other person.
That's true.
But we all been told a certain thing. So that now we're going to go through the presentation. We'll save all comments and questions for the end. And I'm going to try to go through it so we won't have you here long. But today we're going to talk about exposing the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not. Again, we appreciate you coming to Awakening and Restoration Conference in Augusta, Georgia. This is our first conference. Let's give it a hand clap. We have great leaders and great men of God that has tag team. We have Pastor Maurice Item, and we have Brother Ty Barnes, we have Brother Louis Durham, and we have myself, Brother Morris Williams. So we are excited by us coming together. Hey, this has been great information. Yeah. Really good. Just enlighten you and awaken you. But we're going to talk about exposing the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not. Now, if you have your Bible, let's go to Revelation 2 and 9. If you don't, you can look at the screen. And it says, I know thy works and thy tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Now it says, I know thy works, thy tribulation, because it's talking about a certain people that was going to already be in their tribulation. The whole world is not in tribulation. So it says, I know thy works, and I know thou tribulation, and thy poverty. But it said, don't worry about that. You're looking for natural riches, but it ain't your time yet. But thou art rich. And I know, see, he finna stop and go into something else. He said he comparing the two. Okay. They call themselves. One group one gonna know, and another group been calling themselves the Jews ever since we know it. But according to prophecy, the real ancient Israelites ain't supposed to know they're Israelites. According to Jeremiah 17 and 4. Because their heritage was supposed to be taken away from them. Okay. Your heritage is your identity, your culture, everything is embedded in your heritage. So you take your heritage away, you take everything that makes you a king away. You take everything, even your connection with the Most High, because that was your heritage. So identity was hidden in your culture. Take away culture, take away your identity. Right. I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not. So it's a group of people that is blasphemous for them to call themselves Jews. Now you can just look at this at face value and say, okay, this is a prophecy, so let's see who it's talking about. How many people in the world have called themselves Jews? We can do the process of elimination. It ain't that hard to find out who he's prophesying about. These people are calling themselves Jews from then even until today. And he said they are not, and they are of the synagogue of Satan. So these people would be worshiping in not churches, but what? Synagogues. Process of elimination. Who worshiping in synagogues now? And in those synagogues, it will house the thinking and the teachings of the deceivers.
Wow.
Sitting behind closed doors. We think they meeting. We think they worshiping the Sabbath. But when you study the worship of Saturn, why his day is Saturday, you'll get to understand that ain't the same Sabbath that the Most High set up. It's another worship. Revelations 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and he keeps saying they are not, and he say they do what? They lie.
That's right.
So it's a group of people on the earth not calling themselves Jews. They're not. They're worshiping in synagogues, and they are lying.
That's right.
Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet. I'm going to make them come and worship before thy feet, and they shall know that I have loved them, and not who? You, which call yourself Jew.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So before this thing ends, the Most High going to put that glory back on us, the same people that was ostracized, what was criticized.
Right.
He said, I'm going to put that glory upon you. I'm going to take the shame. Before your shame, you shall have double. So everybody gonna know who my people are.
Right.
In the end, ain't gonna be no question no more about that.
That's right.
Because it's gonna be a glory upon you, and I'm gonna make the whole earth, as they bow to me, they gonna bow to the people I chose.
That's right.
They say they're gonna worship at thy feet, not worshiping you, but understanding who you are now.
That's right.
And they'll realize you've been beaten, killing, destroying children of the Most High. Now, when you understand these things, it's a few things you got to know. Because you get all excited, you come to conferences and get excited, and you're ready to tell the world. And you get opposition. You're like, what are people doing like that? It ain't hard to understand. Why they just won't research it, look into it. Then people will reject you without even seeing the information. Watch what this says. It says you got to be careful and you got to be patient, because this is years and years of indoctrination. And one of the hardest things for somebody to do is unlearn. It ain't hard to learn, but it's very hard to unlearn, and something I've been taught has become my conviction. You finna tell me that was a lie?
That's right.
Oh, now it's gonna be a fight because you coming against my foundation. When a lie, all that is known, the truth becomes inconceivable.
That's right.
Now, what if I have control of all media, all literature, all history, even your school system, that I can ingrain my life from a child to he graduates?
That's right.
Letting you know about our history and have you glorify what we have done to you and uplift your oppressors.
That's right.
We gave Christopher Columbus his own day. Watch this. Watch how we messed up now. Watch this. You know, should I be saying?
Come on,
Oh, watch this here now. I'll show you how we messed up. I'm going to do the prayer.
Come on, help us.
We demonize a man that was just standing up for his family, tired of people getting killed, and wanted to fight back. We glorify Christopher Columbus and demonize Nat Turner.
That's right.
That's right.
Now, it's crazy to even say something about Nat Turner, because black folks want to turn their ears and their eyes away because he started killing people. But Christopher Columbus came over here The natives of the land, they shared the land, wanted to share the land with them, wanted to do things for them, wanted to show them how to grow, but he started killing them.
Wow.
Brought a flag, set it there, said, this is my land, took babies, banged their head against rocks, made dogs chew the babies out. Brought diseases there.
That's right.
To kill the people and take the land, and we gave him his own day.
Have mercy.
And that turn up. If somebody come in my house, rape my wife, take my daughters, rape them, take my son, beat them, kill them, you think I'm just going to sit there and allow it to happen? Then in my whole community, I'm seeing this everywhere. But I'm wrong for fighting for my family and have my own people look at me in a bad light when I was tired of seeing everybody around me murdered, killed, raped for no reason other than I'm black. And I'm supposed to just sit there and allow that to happen? I ain't putting nothing in you to have you get up there and go beat somebody.
Right.
But I'm showing you how propaganda can make you look at something totally different. It can take a dog that was just trying to cross the street. A drunk driver seen the dog, mashed out and ran him over. But when the propaganda get it, TVs, media, and they want to spin it a certain way, they'll have you looking at the dog wrong. Saying that the dog shouldn't have been crossing that street. The dog shouldn't have stood there and got hit.
Oh, it should have been changed.
It should have been changed. You see what I'm saying? That's why you got to watch what you're watching, because it's changing your perception. Well, that was a long time on that, I'm sorry. But if you tell it out big enough, and tell it frequent enough, it will be believed. Just like we've been believing that the Jewish people are the people. Because that lie has been said frequent enough, and it became the truth. Okay, well, that's true. History is a set of lies agreed upon, and by his skillful and sustained use of propaganda, one can make a people see even heaven as hell, or an extremely wretched life as paradise. Our terrible condition in the ghetto and in the hood, we glorify it and say that's living.
Exactly right.
But what is this showing? Propaganda. Changing our mind. Yeah. A truth initial commotion is directly proportional to, you got to understand this, how deep the lie was believed. It wasn't that the world being round that agitated people, but the world that wasn't flat. When a well-packaged web of lies have been sold gradually to the masses over generation, the truth seems utterly preposterous, and its speakers, raving lunatics. Don't go over there to them conferences now. They're over there teaching y'all that crazy hate doctrine, that black stuff. Don't go over there, them brothers done fell off. Them brothers done fell by the wayside. They ain't in the truth no more. God bless them. There is a principle. Watch this. There's a principle which is bar against all information, which is proof against all argument, which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is condemnation before I even investigate. You tell me something I completely reject it without even looking into it. Showing you scriptures. No, that don't matter. Hey, you ain't read the scripture. But I'm going to reject it and I'm going to condemn it. And I ain't even looked at it. How can you condemn something? Not just reject it, but condemn it. And say its doctrines are devils. And you ain't looked in the scripture yourself. It said it will keep you in everlasting ignorance. Keep you in deception. Not just you. People that's tired. They want the truth. Okay, lighten up a little bit. All my life, I've been saying these people. I'm gonna take y'all through my path. This is how I found out. I said, man, them got to be the Jews right there. These people right here is the seed of Jacob. I ain't understand why they got black caps and love black all the time. There's a reason. That's Saturn worship. But I didn't understand that. I said, well, maybe we should get all the pigtails that hang to the side. I would have can't curl like that. I can't. But maybe we should get that and get them pigtails that hang to the side and get them black top hats or them short hats and call ourselves. Because we're supposed to follow them. That's what I thought. But then when I would go, look at the bird, God bless it. When I would go, y'all come on back. I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit.
The Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit. The Holy Ghost.
But when I typed in the ancient Israelites, this is the picture that I would get. These men look like they came straight out the 70s. Look at them with afros and beards. This is they depictions on Egyptian walls of ancient Israelites. Now, Mosai told us he don't want no graven image. He didn't want us making images of ourselves. But our captors made images of us. Brother playing instruments, and they got braids. Look at his nose. Look at they froze. Look at this up close up. Big nose, beard, fro. Same thing here. I said, wait a minute, now I know I ain't crazy. Because these people can't turn into these people. That ain't possible.
That's good.
You can't look like this, and then years later, you look like a Negro. That can't be possible. So I said, that's a problem. I'm missing it somewhere. So let me keep studying. Then I go to the Jewish Almanac. So I said, I'm going to go to some Jewish stuff. I'm going to prove that these Jewish people got to be the people. They ain't lying to me. They wouldn't lie to me like that. I believe them. They want to be honest, just like my parents was honest with me. Everybody in the world is supposed to be honest. 1980 Jewish Almanac. Under the heading of a brief history of the terms for Jew. In 1980, Jewish Almanac read, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew, or call a contemporary Jew of today an Israelite, a Hebrew. So I said, you can't call the modern day Jews Israelites, and you can't call the ancient Israelites Jews? Why is that? Now this is a Jewish person putting this in their book. They trying to tell us something. What's the problem? So I said, well, let me find out about this Jew thing. Because where is Jewish? I look all through the Old Testament. I don't see nothing about Jewish. So where did Ish come from? Then as my study, I started to realize Judah was one of Jacob's sons. His mother was named Leah. Judah is a descendant called of the tribe of Judah. See, we didn't understand tribes over here.
Right.
But all the ancients had nationalities, had nations, and they had tribes within their nations.
That's exactly right.
Why? Because everybody was the same color. So you couldn't be known off your color. Just like I can go bring some Africans right here and sit them among us now, we can't tell the difference unless they start talking.
Right.
Everybody wasn't dark skinned, we had a range of colors. So the only way, that's why the Bible said, this is such and such of the father of him, and he begot him, and he's of the son of him. Why? It's identifying, letting you know we can't go off color, because that whole region was black. So we had to go off tribes and who your father was. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So in order to be from Judah, you had to be of the tribe of Judah. You cannot become a descendant of the tribe of Judah through conversion. I don't care how much I love my brother David Pierre. He cannot look at my family and say he want to be of the weak. He'll have to be converted into our way. But he can't be my descendant. Or a descendant from my father, because he didn't come out of us.
That's right.
So you cannot make yourself of the tribe of Judah through conversion, because that's a nationality. I began to study, said there ain't even a letter J in Hebrew or Greek. Wait a minute.
That's right.
That's why Jewish ain't in the Torah. Because there's no letter J in Hebrew or Greek. What else does that let you know? Oh, that might shake, yeah. But his name couldn't have been Jesus. Because there's no way to pronounce Jesus in the ancient Hebrew or either Greek.
That's right.
The letter J is the newest letter to the English alphabet. The newest letter, only maybe about 400 or 500 years old, I want to say. The name in Hebrew was Yahudah or Yahwadah. That's the true name or Hebrew name of Judah. And Jesus' name, his true name, is Yahusha or Yehoshua, or some say Yeshua. Jewish cannot be understood in Hebrew. There is no ish. We very concrete. There's no ish, no suffix. There's no kind of in Hebrew. Either it is or it's not. Let me give you an example of that. What color is this lady hair? All of them crazy. But what color they have?
Supposedly, what she said, turquoise.
Turquoise.
Green.
But what is turquoise? Green, some say green. It can look blue too. So we can say it's bluish when we describing it, or greenish. But it's not blue.
Or green.
Or green. But it's ish. What is that denoting about when you use ish for Jewish? We're not saying we of the original mold, but we're like them. We're kind of them. Because we're copycats. Because we use some of their stuff, so we are Jew-ish. So we got our own language and call it, we don't speak the ancient Israelites, we speak Yiddish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what is Irish? What is Spanish? You're just taking on the names of your oppressors. You're not them, but they came and conquered your land and they gave you their language, so you're Spanish. Or you Irish. Or you Jew-ish. I ain't got to go over that part right there. But then I see the prime minister, the president of Egypt. What would make him say this? This is what Brother Tyus talked about yesterday. He said when he was asked about peace in the Middle East, the late president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, stated, the Jews will never be able to live here in peace. Why, Gamal? Because they left black and came back white. Why would he make a statement like that? Everybody in the ancient world knew what they looked like. You got places in Russia, different places that got images of them being black. But to the Western world, I had to set up white supremacy. So I had to go in and paint everything to look like us. So I could make you think you never did anything. That's why our history only start doing slavery. Y'all create, made some brooms and you made some brushes and engineered some stuff over there. You see what I'm saying? Every time we come to our history, it starts where slavery was at. Well, what happened before slavery? But I don't want to get off, let's keep going. So he said, now we look at all these people bringing up these crazy prophecies and said, that's just prophecy being fulfilled. It's crazy over there in the Middle East. But when they asked him about it, he said, it's going to stay like that because they left black, came back white. That's the reason he said that. Because when they came back and took that land, the people that was there knew them. You can't make it based off you being the people. Because we know y'all ain't the people. So y'all gonna come over here and take over our land and take over the stuff that we did and destroy us and move us out based off you being the people? That's why he said they left black and came back white. That's why they ain't peace yet. Then I looked at Jewish scholars. This is all Jewish people saying this. In 1899, a famous British historian, Houston Stewart Chamberlain, he said the Jews were not a race, but instead they were bastards. Yahak somebody. He says that the economic role of the Jews in medieval Poland affirmed that the Khazars were the Jews. I said, Khazars? I mean, what is a Khazar? In 1867, the great Jewish scholar Abraham Hawaki, in his book, Jews and Languages of the Slaves, spoke of the Jewish Yiddish language coming from the Khazar. That go Khazar again. Then these guys wrote a book called The 13 Tribes. If you want to know about Jewish history, get that book. And he said the large majority of surviving Jews in the world of the Eastern European, thus perhaps being the Khazar origin, and so this word would mean that the Jews' ancestors come not from Canaan, but from the Caucasus. Another Jewish historian said in his important book, that's another book to get the invention of the Jewish people, he says that the Jews are not a race and have no Israelite connection. Then they go and do DNA on them. And these two researchers from prestigious universities found out that they have no blood relation to Israel. But their blood relation goes to the Khazar Empire. DNA says that. Let's keep going. Now they traced their ancestry off their mother, not their father. So they went to the Jewish women and found out they got caught there too. That they have no connection to the Israelites. So right now I'm looking crazy in my study because I've learned that Jewish is not Jewish. It's not ancient Israelite. I got this word Khazar keep coming up. And the DNA then showed me that they have no relation to it. But I keep hearing that 1948 was fulfilling a biblical prophecy. So if we was to go on Murray's show, Murray would have to tell us, Jewish people, you are not the seed of Abraham. You are not the father. So who are the Israelites then?
Come on.
We got pictures up here of them looking like they came out. This evidence. And they're more related to these looking people. But down here, the ancient Khazars, don't these ancient Khazars look like these people? So they can be the direct descendants because they still looking the same. Let's get to the core of the truth. Now, we have to go, when we study prophecy, we got to go back to where everything began. Like you said, you had Ham, you have Japheth, you have Shem. Do everybody understand that? When God made and he flooded the earth, Noah and his wife, they had 3 sons. You understand that? They had Ham, they had Shem, and they had Japheth. But it's prophecies on them. According to Genesis 9:27, it says, God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Now that ain't really make sense when I first read it until I started studying this. I said, God's going to enlarge your people. So let's look up enlarge. Enlarge in Hebrew is patah, and it means to be, one of the definitions is to be spacious, to be open, or to be wide. And the other definition is to deceive, entice, or persuade. So when you're doing a word study, you have to study the word, what they mean, the definitions that they give. Then you have to go back in the culture and understand the culture. Because some stuff can be just cultural things. Just like it's our culture. If I say Monday morning, I got to go to the plantation, what am I saying? You got to go to work. We understand it. But what if somebody 20 years from now studying us and looked at Brother Morris said he got to go to the plantation. Was slavery going on in 2016? See, he can look at that definition and try to make a whole thing go, there was slavery going on in 2016, because why? He studied the word, but not the culture.
That's right.
So you can build a doctrine off word study, but don't study the culture, or don't study how consistent it is through the Bible and still get the wrong answer.
That's right.
That's right.
That makes sense?
Oh, yeah.
So when you look at the consistency through the Bible, and you look when that word enlarge is used, that Hebrew word, you see 28 times is used to entice. So that make me take the entice or deceive definition over enlarge, because it don't make sense that God is going to enlarge your people. People getting enlarged all the time. Your family can get enlarged by having another baby. That's kind of don't make sense. But when you add the true definition, it makes sense. God shall deceive Japhet. Now Japhet is supposed to be the lineage that the Khazars came out of. So God shall deceive Japhet, and he shall dwell in the tents or the land of Shem. Who are Shem children? The true Israelites. So Israel is Shem land. And Canaan shall be his servant. So how are we looking at that? We're looking at it as a people that has been deceived, thinking they're the people, and they in the land of Israel. Is that going on now?
Oh yeah.
Can we look in? Can everybody can raise their hand and can see how people can be deceived and they dwell in a land that ain't theirs?
Right.
Now it's two types of deceptions that can happen. Let's look at the Masons, right? Now the Masons look good at first value. And somebody might say, well, why don't you become a Mason? I was like, nah, I did some research at Mason, they be studying that, that's all Illuminati, satanic stuff. Now the people on the low level, they're like, nah, you're crazy, we do stuff for the community. It's two different levels. It's a high level of Masonry that understands what goes on with the witchcraft and the satanic stuff. And it's a low level that's docile that just think it's good for the community. Get you in until you reach a certain status.
That's right.
Let's take it to the Jewish people. It's some honest Jewish people that have just been born into that really believe that they the people. They don't hate nobody, they don't want to do nobody wrong. But it's a hard people in the Jewish people called Zionists that understand the deception. And they are the people that hate you and killing you according to prophecy that's on you. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Hold on.
All right, let's go to the origins of the Khazar Empire. The Khazar Kingdom, this can be traced to the West Turkish Empire, a confederation of Turkish tribes, of which the Khazar were but of one, stretching from the Black Sea to the Turkestan in the mid-6th and 5th century. The Khazar Kingdom, they were pagan. Now they was ruling their little area. They were dominating their little thing. There was a pagan civilization. A short period of history became the largest and most powerful kingdom in Europe, and possibly the wealthiest also. They bought of them their religious worship that was a mix of phallic worship. We wonder why a lot of the movies that we get is degrading and sexual, and the cartoons and all that type of stuff. So they've had those worships. Alright, let's read this. In 100 to 800 AD was an incredible evil society emerging with Khazarians. Watch what they did. A lot of what they was known for. The Khazarians developed into a nation ruled by an evil king who had ancient Babylonian black arts, occult magic serving as his court. During this time, Khazarians became known to the surrounding countries as what? As thieves, as murderers, road bandits that did what? Assuming the identities of those travelers, they murdered as a normal occupational practice and way of life. So one of their ways of life was to assume the identity of the traveler that's coming. Traveler come through their little strip. They oppose this one people that they usually trade with, because trade was big and merchant was big in those days. Have the people think that they are the people that they didn't trade with before. They would kill those people, take on their clothes, and become their identity for the next traveler that comes to. So they was known for stealing the identity. That's why it was nothing for them to take on the identity of who? But people got tired of it in that area. So they were like, They king, it was like, I'm tired of all this idolatrous worship and all this type of stuff. You got two things that have been saying. Some people say in history that the king got tired of it and said his whole kingdom is going to take on one of the Abrahamic faiths. Or it's out there that the nations around them got tired of that. And two of the top nations that was ruling told them, y'all need to change y'all practices, or we going to kick y'all out. Or have all these nations band together against y'all. So then the king had to make a decision. Because the top two Abrahamic faiths at the time that was going on was Islam and Christianity. So he had to make a decision. And he's been pressed on either side. Because Christianity was a ruling empire and a ruling force, and Islam was a ruling empire and ruling force. So he said, if I get under either one of these, I'm going to have to be subservient to it. So if I bring my kingdom under Christianity, I lose my power, my economic strength, because I'm going to have to convert my whole kingdom to Christianity, making us give homage to them. But if I choose Islam, I'm going to have to do the same thing, make my whole kingdom Islam, and lose our independence, our ability to be a world power, and be subservient to them. I can still have my place, but I still got to be Islam. So what did he do? He said, well, let me bring a Christian, a Muslim, and an Israelite over. And I'm going to hear all their sayings, and that's going to have me determine where I'm going to convert my kingdom to. So he found out, basically, in the end, that both of Christianity, they gave homage and got a lot of their teachings from the Abrahamic faith, and then they know Islam got a lot of their teachings and understanding. So he said, for me to do away with both of them, I can still have my independence and have both of them give credit to me. I take on both of them where they got their foundations from and make that my kingdom religion. So it wasn't a religious move, it was a political move. Where I converted my whole kingdom to seem like they are taking on the laws and commandments of the ancient Torah. But really all I did was say it on that and mix my practices with that and call it Judaism.
Wow.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I already talked about that. I'm going to go through that real quick. What that is years down the line there was a king, King Joseph. And what he did, he gave a record of where his people came from. Because they had an Israelite man that couldn't understand that how in the world that the Israelites were able to have their own kingdom, knowing that they got cast away and they got shipped all over the world. He knew that they was in captivity, so there's no way that they can have a sovereign nation. But he found out about this so-called nation over here that's supposed to be of the Israelite stock. And he found out that they got their own nation. He said he can't believe it. So he sent the letter to their king. The king sent the letter back saying, well, look, we are Ashkenazi, we are of the seed of Japheth. So in his letter, he's letting us see that the Khazars didn't come from Shem. I have no way they can be connected to the Israelites. That makes sense? So Zionism is, like I told you, it's the difference between the hierarchy in Judaism and the Lord. So Zionism is basically a name that was coined in 1890 by Nathan Rebum. So it's basically just saying that, but let me read it. Its general definition means the national movement for the return of Jewish people to their homeland and the resumption of Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel. That's what they give you the definition is. But they can't return to their homeland and make their homeland Israel. But their homeland is the Khazarian Empire. Let's keep moving. So, what's one of the main ways that the Jewish people became rich through America? Because they control America. Your president don't do that. You can vote all you want. I know we went through a rough time trying to vote. I know it. But it ain't meaning nothing now. Now your city officials, yeah, you can vote that and your vote account. But when it comes to president, because we don't put who we want to run this country. So we done gave him what to do. And if he don't do it, we'll kill him.
That's right.
That's right.
So you think Obama doing you a favor? What has he spoke publicly? Now I ain't completely against it because I know they give him a hard time, and there's just the blackness in me make me defend him sometimes because I know some people saying something in the sense of racist, so I shut him down. But I still ain't with the guy, but I'm just saying. He ain't had no bad thing come out about him. He's smooth the stuff that he talked, he straightened posts out, but he's still. But watch it now. He is controlled, but what have he spoke of to the black condition? He only passing laws for who? Homosexuals, transgender. But what has he did to your condition? And say, yeah, let's say the same thing. They got the same struggle that we as black folks have civil rights wise. But he's gonna hit their civil rights out and turn his back on the people he's saying is the same thing and did nothing for them.
Yes, sir.
You can't say that out loud now. You can't put that now. You say that out loud.
One of the main ways that the Jewish people obtain their money because they financed the transatlantic slave trade. Financed our ancestors being shipped over here and killed. Jewish merchants owned and insured and financed slave ships, outfitted them with chains and shackles. Jews was auctioneers, brokers, wholesalers, keeping the slave economy all with money, markets, and supplies. Because you was nothing but brute beasts to them. It's in their Talmud, so you're not human. So they have no conscience of what they do to you. Jews were found collaborating with, even financing such domestic racial terrorists as the Ku Klux Klan. And also the NAACP. Financing both sides.
That's right.
To bring division. They know what they're doing. Jews became Klan members, and some even supplied the Klan with guns, sheets, and hoods. When lynching and massacres occurred in America, Jewish leaders often praised these outrages, and some in Jewish press and cheered them on. If a slave auction was held on one of their holidays, they would shut it down because we can't be involved in getting us some more slaves and financing this thing. You can read these 3 books. This is a whole book right here. Just letting you see that all the Jewish names and articles of them just financing this. So they got, and they tell us you need to just pull up your bootstraps and do better. But the reason you are financing half the money you got because of what you did to us, free labor.
That's right. That's right.
And then brought another nation over here in this land, financed their learning how to farm, gave them houses, and put them over us, and let them in this land. But they tell us to pull up our bootstraps and do better, when everything was given to them. These are a picture of slave ships that was owned by the Jews. And we want to array them as God's chosen people and give them billions of dollars just based off that. And don't realize we are financing our demise. When we give them money, we are furthering their deception and their massacring of the whole earth.
Where the slaves still Jesus over there?
I was just gonna ask that question.
Was he on there?
Yeah, he on there. He ain't on this one though. But he is on there. There was a slave ship that was one of the first slave ships that ported here was named Jesus.
Exactly.
That's some heavy meat, brother. All right, here we go. We by truth though. Look at everybody that got reparations. Everybody. The Japanese, when they put them in concentration camp, they gave their descendants 1 billion. The Jewish people of Australia, the Indians, the Japanese, the Ottomans, the Chinese and the Seminoles. Everybody got millions of dollars of reparations, but ours was the worst ever. And what we got? We didn't get nothing but Jim Crow. Nothing.
Lord Jesus.
Nothing. This was the worst that ever happened on the earth. And they gave all their descendants billions of dollars. But it came to us. We give y'all Jim Crow, Ku Klux Klan. Find some more ways to destroy you. They ain't get enough from us. So reparation ain't coming from your oppressors. Don't look for it. Your reparation's coming from the Most High.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That make sense?
That's right.
So, Jews financed it. Now, we found out they came from the Khazarian Empire. got involved with slavery, got kicked out of so many nations because of their practices, ended up in Germany. So when they got in Germany, there was 2% of the population, 500,000 among 60 million Germans. But watch what they start doing. They start owning banks. Why would they want to get the media, the theater, the movie, and the literature? Start putting their people all over that stuff, buying that stuff up. So they can do what? Influence the nation. Same thing they did over here in America. This is the origin of the financial bank crashes. Millions of Germans' father lost their income because of what they was doing to get their money. And they introduced more degradacy, homosexuality. They introduced that because Germany was not full of that. They didn't practice that, but they bought that there.
That's right.
Adultery in film, in literature.
Yes.
Prostitution, they ridiculed Christianity and Christ. They will put the same thing going on over here.
That's right.
Because when you look at the music industry, who own it? When you look at the movie industry, who own it? When you look at the news stations, who own it? But they righteous?
Jewish.
Jewish, there you go. So the Jews' participation in the slave trade, particularly their trafficking of non-Jewish slaves, incited more indignation of Europe's Gentile population. Europe would tax the Jews or kick them out, and that's why you would see they're getting kicked out of different nations because of their practices. Not because of God's judgment and some year that all happened and all that type of stuff they reach for. But now, you must get this brother here, because he tell you the whole story. He was in Zionism and came back. You got to get that. You got to hear this. Because he breaks down what happened in Germany. Because we look at one side of the story. Hitler just mean, he killing, he hurting, he destroying. He tell you the whole side of the story. There was something called a big stab in the back. Benjamin H. Freeman. Listen to his speech, boy. I'm just going to tell you a little bit of it. All right, here we go. World War I. One side, you got Great Britain, France, and you got Russia. The other side, you got Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey. They're in World War I. Now the Jews are in Germany. No better place for them. I mean, Germany let them come in and start owning, start buying stuff, start doing stuff. That was the best place for them. They got kicked out of another nation, and Germany said, y'all come over here with us. We'll let you build. We'll let you have a homeland in a sense over here with us. Watch what happened. So Germany is in war with Great Britain, France, and Russia. So France and Great Britain, they losing. It's going to be over. They supplies, all that is demising. They tired of people here. So Germany looks at them and says, well, look. We both want to stop the war. Evidently, y'all see, y'all can't win. We can just let it go. Everybody go to their own prospective lands and let it go from there. But the Jewish people said, wait a minute. I can do something with this. So the Zionist Jews, they called Great Britain and said, I tell you what, y'all look like y'all about to lose, but don't worry. We can bring America in the war as your ally and help aid you to help you beat Germany. Nobody to this day, before this man really came out, understood why America got involved in World War I. It had nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them. But if a people control America, we'll bring America in the war because we got an objective. So America came in and demolished them.
Wow.
So when they said we'll bring America in the war, the Zionists said, well, let's put some respect on it. Let's put it on paper. And research the Balfour Declaration, because this is an agreement with Great Britain and the Zionist Jewish people. Because they said if we bring America in the war, you got to give us the land of Israel. Because Britain had defeated the Ottoman Turks, so they had rule and govern over Israel at that time. You see what I'm saying? Just like Great Britain, we still had control over the Bahamas, even though they're in Great Britain. So they said, I know y'all finna lose, but we would bring America in, have y'all win, but you have to give us the land of Israel. Research the Balfour Declaration. So, what happened after the war, they have this conference, and they got to see, okay, who we gonna put over this land? Y'all want this war, we're gonna give y'all this land. So what happened, the Jewish people showed up at the conference. And everybody wondering, why in the world the Jewish people coming in here? Y'all ain't got no nation to represent y'all. Y'all in Germany. So the Germans up there looking, they said, okay, man, this is going to destroy our nation. We got to give all these places. Say, well, we can't understand this day why America came in. We had no fight with America. But the Jewish people came in that meeting with the Balfour Declaration saying, they owe us this time. Now, can you imagine that the German officials looking at this? Say, we housed y'all. We gave y'all a place to stay. We allowed y'all to get in our government. But y'all gonna stab us in the back and bring another nation in and cause our own defeat? When you ain't have no homeland and we gave y'all land and y'all want another land and gonna destroy us because of that? Ooh, them Germans was upset. That'll make anybody upset. They came up there with it and said, this is our articles, this is the stuff that we want because it's in this declaration. And they told them, no, we ain't gonna allow you to do all that. We'll give you a little piece, but some of y'all can go back, but you can't make it a national home. So they said, we got some more work to do. But watch what kind of condition this put Germany in. In order to understand the cultural climate in Berlin in the 1920s, one must understand the general atmosphere in Germany. After suffering a humiliating defeat in World War I, the German government was ordered to pay war reparations to all these nations that beat them. They're giving it to America also too. Knowing that these reparations would be hanging over their heads for years, perhaps decades, many Germans felt a sense of hopelessness which was reinforced by their economy in ruins. In 1923, inflation wiped out the savings of most middle-class Germans. These events led to the art mixture of despair, many festivities that would fuel Berlin's artistic, musical, and literary renaissance. So what started happening? Tension started rising in Germany. They started saying, we finna boycott the Jewish people. Any of their stores, ain't nobody going buying from. We finna snatch some of them out of position, out of their positions, because they stabbed us. But the Jews say, okay, y'all want to do that? We'll make a worldwide boycott. Because Germany's economy was fueled through exports. What they trade with people on the outside. You take away their exports, you're going to make a demolish of their economy even greater. But guess who was in the midst of all this? Guess who was fighting in World War I? Hitler. And Hitler ain't playing in that war. He got injured. He ain't want to leave. He wanted to go right back to the trenches and start that fight. Because he believed in Germany as a nation, national-wise. But he found out that these people stabbed us in the back. So he started speaking around Germany, getting the people to start lifting up National Socialism and saying, these Jews have stabbed us in the back, they destroyed our economy, and brought other people into the war. So he gathering him a people. This him in the war, that's why he look like a mess. That's him right there. 1914, back into the war. But watch what Hitler did when he became ruler, because he started doing this campaign, saying what needed to be done. They still had the Jewish boycott going on. But when he became so-called president, this is why so many Germans loved him. Because they was broken as an economy. When Hitler assumed power in 1933, his administration, there were 7 million unemployed Germans. The highest per capita unemployment rate in Europe at any time. In his first year of office, he brought an unprecedented 3,374,000 were helped back to work. He created 6 million jobs in his first few years of being in office. for the Germans. They weren't just led blindly. They look at this man that's giving us real solutions. He helping our economy. He making us feel a love for being German and showing how these Jewish people messed up. What else he did? Hitler's brilliant and innovative ideas included building motorways, a length and breadth of the country with housing units. The workers' families would then eagerly spend their newly earned wages contributing to the fast-growing economy. Priority was given to health and fitness of the nation, especially the youth. Free health care and generous financial support was given to expectant mothers. The world's first anti-smoking campaigns are introduced. Crime was virtually eliminated with city streets and made safe because they was putting all of them Jewish people out of power. They took all their books, they took them away from the theater, they took all that stuff and burnt it and was kicking them out. So the economy started getting better because people morale started getting better. Workers subsided government, that's going down. He introduced 40-hour work weeks and extra pay for overtime. Factories are now required to provide workers with restrooms and cafeterias. His leadership looked upon changing the interest of loans as immoral by forcing banks to abolish the practice of usury. Millions were able to come out of debt during his reign. But we only see one side of the story. And what is known about the 6 million figure with Hitler? That he killed what? So everything is subliminal. Because they took 6 million and wanted to point it towards killing 6 million Jews rather than creating 6 million jobs. That's what he was supposed to be known for. See what I'm saying? But through their propaganda over here, we're going to switch that and keep, when everybody put in their mind about Hitler, 6 million Jews come up, rather than creating an economy, a booming economy. And that's what America needs now.
That's true.
Woo! All right. So let's look at Hitler's role in helping the Zionists establish the state of Israel. Because Hitler, he wanted the Jewish people out of there. So it didn't matter. So he said, if y'all want to work together with the Zionists, we can get them Jewish people out of here. And let y'all go on over there so we can keep doing what we need for our time. But let's look at this.
Live
And show you.
Channel 5. This is the 10 o'clock news.
Everybody can hear?
Coming out revealing secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933, which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine. Rich Samuels joins us tonight with the story of the controversy behind the book and the author's struggle to write it. Rich?
Deborah, with the rise of Adolf Hitler to power in the spring of 1933, the Jews of the world were faced with a dilemma. They could raise a cry of protest, a cry few would heed, or they could make a deal with Hitler. A deal that would bring a step closer to their dream of an independent Jewish state.
American Jews marched calling for the boycott of all German exports. Jews throughout Europe echoed that call, so did Jews everywhere. But a group of Zionists at the same time was quietly negotiating an agreement with the Nazis to allow the immigration of German Jews and the transfer of their assets to Palestine.
That's what Brother Tyler was talking about yesterday,
Reported in
transfer
August
agreement.
1933 was the transfer agreement. Palestine, sparsely settled by Jews at the time, was radically changed as a result.
I lived in Palestine from 1933 to 1936, and we saw every week transports of German Jews coming to settle in Palestine.
German Jewish settlement of Palestine was, for a time, official Nazi policy. These photos of Jewish life in Palestine, along with a lengthy text, appeared in 1934 in the Berlin paper Der Angriff. A Nazi Visits Palestine was the title of the multi-part series. A medal was struck by Goebbels in commemoration. On one side, the swastika. On the other, the Star of David. Hitler demanded one concession for the transfer agreement, that the call for a boycott of the right, raised by Jews here and elsewhere, be rejected by the Zionists. The Zionists made that concession. And so, while Nazis were marching in Germany, and while Jews were marching here, diplomacy was running a more important story. In the Mediterranean, where the dream of a nation-state for Jewish people came a step closer to reality. The story in this book some will find hard to accept.
You've never been told what the origin of Nazi is.
Please pay attention.
NA is National Socialism, which was the German Nazis. And in 1923, there was a double agent who came to Hitler, and he said to Hitler, look, your Nazi party is not, your National Socialist Party is not getting off the ground. You need an alliance. And he suggested that they ally with the Zionist Party. So the NA of National Socialism joined with the Zionist Party in the World Zionist Party in 1923, and ever after was known as the Nazis, NAZI. The ZI was for Zionists, but of course no one knew that, because our popular mythology is that the terrible Nazis were attacking the Jews. But what we were never told is there was a great schism in the Jewish community of the world between the Zionists and the non-Zionists. You see, the non-Zionists were the Orthodox Jews who believed you could not have a Jewish state until the Jewish Messiah came. They didn't acknowledge Christ as Messiah, so they were waiting for their own Jewish Messiah to come. Then you would have a Jewish state, and that Jewish state would rule the world. But the Rothschilds in 1828 decided they couldn't wait for the Jewish Messiah, so they started what they called Reform Judaism under Moses Hess. And Reform Judaism said, yes, you can have a Jewish state before the Messiah comes. And the reason you could have it was the Rothschilds had made so much money, they said, we'll buy our own state. So the Rothschilds sent people out to the Middle East to have Jewish settlements, and which is today the state of Israel. Totally created by the Rothschild money. And so Reform Judaism then became the cause of a great schism between Orthodox Jews and Reform Jews. Now, no one has ever told you this, I'm sure, but you think that the Jewish community is monolithic. In fact, it's split sharply down the middle. But even today, they have riots in the Jewish parliament between the Orthodox Jews and the Reform Jews. And they cannot agree on anything because the basic premise is a fundamental disagreement over whether a Jewish state should even exist today. So in Germany in 1923, the German Jews were quite prosperous and quite happy, and they were not interested in becoming Zionists, and they were not interested in going to Palestine. After all, they had beautiful mansions in Germany, they had symphony orchestras, they had art, they had everything, and they were accepted in the community. As Ezra Pound said, Germany was the least anti-Jewish country in Europe. When you went over to Poland and Russia, you had very strong feeling against Jews. But in Germany, they were accepted and happy, so why would you ever have an anti-Jewish government in Germany? And of course, Hitler, allying himself with the Zionists, he said, after all, you're right. He said, we have the same goals. And
yeah, same goals. He wanted
so he allied with the Zionist party, and the mission of the Nazis was to force the anti-Zionist Jews to accept Zionism. And this is what the concentration camps were about. They put the anti-Zionist Jews in the concentration camps, and they were placed under the direct administration of the Sonderkommandos, who were the Zionist Jews. So the concentration camps were run by the Zionist Jews in order to punish and get rid of the anti-Zionist Jews. Which
you understand that?
It lost me a little bit with
all right, this is what was going on. You remember I said a higher level Jewish than a lower level. Right. Now the higher level want to make Israel their home. They want to move all the Jews there, what we was talking about earlier. But the lower level, the people that really believe that they was Jewish people, they understand through their study that they can't have a homeland until the Messiah come back. Right. So you got two conflicting Jewish people. So what did the Zionists do? They made a pact with Hitler. Hitler made it a little tough for them and wanted them to get out of there. But what they did, they sacrificed the lower level Jewish people and put them in concentration camps. So the people that were in the concentration camps were people that didn't believe in Zionism and wouldn't follow it. And had the Zionists, the ones that was killing them and brutalizing them. So not the Germans.
So Zionism more than Israel today.
Huh? Yeah. Zionism, well, I say this. It's still both. It's still both. Because some of the lower level Jews, they just went anyway. But they conform. Right. And some of them, like, they weren't going anywhere. Go ahead.
Basically, how you have to look at it is like this. Like right now,
a lot of Arabic countries, they hate Americans.
Right.
And a lot of us, middle class, even whites, like, well, why do the Arabs hate us? All right, because we just think, you know, we follow us on media, we think we just this great country, all right? But the hierarchies that runs this country, you know that we're nothing but pawns in the game. Even your poor whites are nothing more but pawns in the game. But the Arabs hate, you know, a lot of them have hostility against all America. So when the king of Khazarian, when he implemented Judaism, gotta realize generations after that was born in believing they were Jews.
They really were.
So you had generation after that, after generations believing they are Jews, but the hierarchy are Zionists. All right, they call themselves Jewish, but they are Zionists. They are part of the Zionist movement, the Rothschilds.
Yeah, Rothschild.
All right, they are the highest of the Zionist movement. So the Zionist movement, those that was in Germany at the time, they were financing. They had plenty of money. They gave American money, you know, to get into World War I.
Exactly.
All right, but they were still staying in Germany. That's how the back for agreement comes. So what he's saying right now is that Hitler is going to make an agreement with the leader Zion. The leader Zion. Because all he just wants some Jews out of there. So I tell you what, we'll do this, give us the money, we're going to put them in concentration camp and everything like that, but it was never designed that way. But when they gave them that money like that, so they sold their own people out.
Right.
They sold
They
their
ran
own
the
people.
camps.
And the Zionists ran the camps.
Right.
Not just the Germans, but the Zionists ran the camps. Now, you really have to do a study on the Holocaust because a lot of that is fabrication.
That's right.
A lot of that gas stuff, that burning stuff they say they happened really didn't happen.
That's right.
When you look into it, see what I'm saying? Some stuff wasn't possible for 6 million Jews to get killed, like they say was getting killed. At the rate, it's not possible for that to happen. See what I'm saying? But they put out a word called anti-Semitic. If you even try to look into it, you being anti-Semitic. If you call them out on it, that's a code word to get you to shut up. You see what I'm saying? So what they did, but how this helped even Germany and Hitler, because you remember they had a boycott against Germany's exports. So what would happen when they start shipping some of the Jews over there, Hitler now would take their money and give them German goods over there to start fueling Israel's economy, the ones that came over there. So they would buy the German goods, lifting the boycott. So it would help German economy. That makes sense? So when you look at the word Holocaust, it means burnt offering or sacrifice.
Wow.
So the Nazis, Zionism, and a final solution, okay, y'all don't want to leave? We're going to sacrifice y'all. We're going to kill y'all. Yes, they killed their own people for Zionism.
Blame it on Hitler.
And blame it on Hitler. And yeah, blame it on Hitler. And you know they control of all the movies, the media over here, so they made all these movies showing how bad it was and got us to hate Hitler. When he was just trying to do what he could for his country, his people. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Let's keep going. So what is the importance of 6 million? How in 1914, way before this stuff started happening, remember propaganda, they putting out 6 million before 1945, before 1933, where the Holocaust ain't even heard of. In the 1914 newspaper, they're already getting the world prepared for the 6 million number. 6 million getting killed.
Wow.
Russia, Jews are facing extermination, 6 million. So that will forever be in our mind. Years before this happened. And even the word Holocaust, where's the word Holocaust doing in 1903? Talking about a Holocaust of us getting that happen. Propaganda gets you prepared so you can start regurgitating without studying. Now let's look at this real quick about the significance of the number 6 million. In Jewish mysticism, it is a traditional system of associating numbers of Hebrew letters with Hebrew letters for the purpose of discovering hidden meanings. Let's drop down. Jewish prophecies in the Torah require that 6 million Jews must vanish before the state of Israel can be formed. It says they took a verse and put numbers with it, and basically said you shall return -6 because every Hebrew letter have the equivalent number that goes with it. So what they do sometimes is try to put the numbers, figure out the numbers of what the letters mean, put them together and see if they got a special meaning. So what they were saying that the lower level Jewish people understood that we can't go back into the land until the Messiah comes, and when the Messiah comes, we're going to be less 6 million as a nation. Just like we understand that all of us ain't completely going back into the land, because there's still some of us that's going to be rebels that ain't going to make it.
Sure.
The Bible talks about 2/3 that might not make it.
That's right.
Now there got to be some more study on that too. So they understanding that all of the Jews ain't returning back to the land. We know it's going to be -6. So what the Zionist Jews start doing, they start putting in the newspapers, putting everywhere that 6 million. So once they got back into the land, and with the agreement with Hitler, put them into the land, they put out, we got into the land 6 million less, making the Orthodox Jews think we fulfill prophecy. Their prophecy, which didn't happen. That's why they was yelling out 6 million from the beginning. Trying to get the Orthodox Jews or the lower level Jews to conform and say, yeah, we need to go.
That's why the United States give or...
Y'all, can we hold all questions to the end so I can get all the way through? Because I'm almost done. Now we look at, nobody talks about us, the black people that was in Germany, that was getting killed from 1890 up until 1945. That was in concentration camps. We getting killed anyway.
Wow.
Anyway! Ain't got nothing to do with it. Let's keep going. And we send billions and billions of dollars, $112 billion, $3 billion a year to Israel based off the Holocaust and what was done. Based off that, and they're being the people, because they'll show us their movies and make us feel sad. Say that was terrible, and look and make you look at your own African slave trade and say we need to get over that. 400 years of us, 10 years of that, maybe 5, but we get nothing. Let's keep going. So now you got all your little preachers and prophecy, people like John Hagee, saying that the nation of Israel are God's people, and he's a Zionist Christian. It is such a thing. And we're going to show real quick a clip of him. I ain't going to play the whole thing. But he says that Jesus is not the Messiah.
I'm delighted to present my latest book, In Defense of Israel. This book will expose the sins of the fathers and the vicious abuse of the Jewish people. In Defense of Israel will shape Christian theology. It scripturally proves that the Jewish people as a whole did not reject Jesus as Messiah. It will also prove that Jesus did not come to earth to be the Messiah. It will prove that there was a Calvary conspiracy between Rome, the high priest, and Herod to execute Jesus as an insurrectionist too dangerous to live. Since Jesus refused by word and deed to claim to be the Messiah, how can the Jews be blamed for rejecting what was never offered?
Word and deed
in the shocking expose In Defense of Israel.
What did he ask Peter?
Who did the man say I am?
Who did he say he is?
Son of the living God.
He just said that he was the Messiah. So I don't know how he missed that. But we almost done. Let's keep going. We're going to look at the Talmud for a little bit, and we're going to go ahead on. Let you see stuff. Well, Brother Tyra said that yesterday.
Go ahead.
These are some of the satanic verses that are in the Talmud. It says this, but before a Gentile hits a Jew, he must be killed. If a Jew finds an object lost by a Goy, it does not have to return it. And they always finding objects lost by us because they keep stealing from us. If a Jew murders a Goy, there will be no death penalty to him. He don't have to answer to that. That's why they could kill all of us and not have no remorse. All children of the Goyim or the Gentiles are animals. Girls born of the Gentiles are in a state of menstrual uncleanness from birth. It also says that a Jew may marry a 3-year-old girl, especially if she's a day old. So it says in there, a Jew may have sex with a child as long as the child is less than 9 years old. When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it's nothing. when a woman who had intercourse with a beast is eligible to marry a Jewish priest. A woman who has sex with a demon is also eligible to marry a Jewish priest. There's stuff in there and what they believe, what they teach. But we call them God's chosen people. And say, you better keep your mouth off them Jewish people. God will get you. They say that Jesus is in hell, boiling in hot excrement with hot boo-boo. They want his name to be wiped off forever and say he practiced Kabbalah. That's just some of the stuff, and this is one of the things they put about us. It says from one of their Jewish scholars, and this was doctrine that was taught in different denominations. Now I can no longer engender the fourth son whom I would have gave the order. This is them explaining what happened when Ham's supposed to have been looked at Noah and seen the nakedness of their father. It said it has to be Canaan, your firstborn. And this is saying that what God had put against Canaan, because they was trying to say that everybody was white and that's where black people come from. When Cam messed up, God put a curse on Canaan because they put in their doctrine that we are Canaan. And it says when Ham messed up, he said, since you have made me incapable of doing bad things in the darkness of night, the children of Canaan will be born ugly and black. Also because you have stretched yourself to see my nudity, your hair of your grandchildren will be curled so that it turns nappy. Their eyes will be red also, and because your lips have joked about my misfortune, yours will swell, and since you have a lack of respect of my nudity. So you seeing there, it's showing you that's where we get all our so-called features from, because Canaan messed up. And saying you're black and ugly, that's a curse. Your lips are full, that's a curse, and all those types of things. And this in their doctrine and what they teach. It says also the nature, talking about us, the nature, this is Jewish people, the Zionist Jews. The nature is similar to mute animals. In my opinion, they do not reach the level of human beings amongst the existing things. They are inferior to man, but superior to the monkey, because they possess a bigger measure than the monkey, the image and the resemblance of a man. That's tough, ain't it? Real quick. Well, I'll just put that in the presentation. I want to go ahead and get to the end. Keep you here too long. Let's look at why we have melanin and why we have kinky hair. I'll go with the kinky hair right now. The power that causes galaxies to spiral and planets. I'm going to show you everything about you spiritual, man. From your skin color to your hair to everything. The power that causes galaxies to spiral and planets and atoms to spin, that causes the double helix to spiral of the DNA molecules. This is the same spiraling power causing spiraling hair, otherwise known as nappy, kinky, curly, frizzy, wavy, woolly hair. The word spin, spiral, and spiritual have common roots. The same supreme power spins, spirals. It is spiritual. It moves or spirals the universe. The entire universe dances in a spiral and rotation. Everything it reflects, the spiraling, the spiritual essence of which it's made. The spiral, especially the golden spiral, is simultaneously the most profound motion and design in the universe. Built into all life forms and ceaseless to man, the spiraling nappy hair, your blood vessels, your blood spirals through your vessels. If you look at your hand, the imprint of your hand is in spirals. The same thing with your hair, it's in a spiral. So it was designed that way. God know what he's doing. I'll get deep into that another time. That makes sense? This is another practice that they do when the baby has reached the 8th day. This is in their Talmud, where they bless the baby by sucking on the baby genitals. I guess, and I don't know what they're doing with that. I ain't even want to study that part. Just want to show you how nasty they is. Nasty, put your mouth on the little boy. That's crazy. And have babies getting herpes from that, and a baby died from that. But these your people, your chosen people. And they own every corruption, every part of America in industry, every part. That's why we got to cut this stupid stuff off. Straight out of Compton messed us up completely with gangster rap. Before, rap used to be more conscious. Let you know what's going on. I mean, it was okay then. They let you know what's going on. Some of us fight the power, all that type of stuff. But then gangster rap come in, nigga, I'll kill you, I'll shoot you, I'll bust you. Making you look at your brother as a nigga now. Looking at your sisters, girl, I'll take you, I'll rape you, I'll do all that type of stuff. And what that caused our morale to do as a people, we became animals. And gangster rap gets you prepared for jail or the grave. It's your selling product. It's how you sell the grave. It's how you sell jail. It's a commercial to get you prepared for jail or the grave. Because you keep listening to it, you're going to be coming. And all they doing is acting and getting money off. They ain't really going out shooting nobody, killing nobody, all that type of stuff. But they make you think that because what they do in moderation, you're doing excess. We're almost done. Last two slides. Debunk the Jewish prophecy myth. Only reason we know they was the chosen people before we knew this information because they called themselves Jews. They seemed to follow the religion of the Israelites in the event of 1948. That's it. Just because I might take on Buddhism, does that make me a Chinese? Just because I might take on yoga, does that make me a Hindu? So just because they got the so-called religion, does that make them the Israelites? So, these are the conditions that has to be fulfilled for that prophecy of 1948 to have come to pass. How many of us have heard of the 1948 prophecy, Jews returning to the land of Israel? That's God's fulfilling prophecy. Let's see what the conditions that have to be. Ezekiel 36 and 35, read the whole chapter. The Bible says that the land will become like the Garden of Eden when the real people return. Can we say the land is like the Garden of Eden? The Garden of Eden is something great. Your best place you done been. I ain't have nothing to touch with the Garden of Eden. Isaiah 2:2-4. All nations shall flow into it and shall see war no more. Is war still going over there? Yes, sir. If nations flowing into there, they're going over there to fight. Jeremiah 16:14-17 talks about a second Exodus that will put the first Exodus to shame. It said we won't even be talking about what God did in bringing the children of Israel out of Egypt. That's right. But the second Exodus, where he's going to bring us from the four corners of the earth, it's going to have to be powerful and miraculous. That's right. Ezekiel 20:33-38, it says, I will gather you out of the countries wherein you were scattered with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, I will plead with us as he did our fathers. So there's a wilderness that we're going back to. Just like when we came out of Egypt and we went, see, we can't even phantom that. Like, man, I ain't never heard of that. Wilderness. But it's prophesied that that's going to happen. Has that happened yet? Isaiah 11 says, peace will return to the animals and the land. Jump a fence where a lion at the zoo. None of that you see of 1948 is a prophecy. Go out there and run around with them gorillas. No, 1948, God took them people home. Peace is on the earth and the land. Go to your neighbors and jump in there with that rock bottle. And tell that rock bottle, God and fulfill prophecy. You better sit down, boy. Isaiah 43:5-6, a remnant will return from the north, the south, the east, and the west. That's why we're saying that everybody ain't going to return looking like Negroes. Because we were scattered everywhere. That's right. The four corners of the earth. And we mix with every people. In every captivity we mix with people. You see what I'm saying? So we ain't gonna all look just alike. You see what I'm saying? Ezekiel 37, the northern and the southern kingdom will unite in the land under one king, the Messiah, and a nation will be born in one day. Has that happened yet? There ain't nothing but the southern kingdom, they so-called kingdom, returned to the land. But the northern kingdom, where they at? So we know that a nation was born in one day. Isaiah 66, 6 through 16. But behold, the Lord will come with fire, with chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with his fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. That ain't spiritual now. Did that happen? Lord come back blowing folk. He ain't coming back smiling, turning no cheeks.
That's right.
Telling you, he gonna be destroyed because he upset. But what we was talking about earlier, man of God, he upset about what's been done to his people. But he has to allow prophecy to fulfill itself. He can't just interrupt what he said to come back because we heard it. He ain't emotional like that.
No.
See what I'm saying? He don't deal with them type of emotions. He deal by what he established covenant-wise. Once that's fulfilled, he said, I'm going to return. For by fire and by his sword would the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of who? Will be many. So did that happen? So he ain't playing. When he returns, he gonna be busting heads. That's why it's important for us now to get prepared for the second Exodus. Because we get out there and get complaining, that grace gonna be over. Was grace in the first wilderness? You get out there and start talking crazy. That's why the Most High wants you working on yourself now. Getting yourself together now. To prepare for this next one. All right, that is the end of the presentation. Bring the man of God up, and we're going to close out either one of y'all.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Question.
So the wilderness you're talking about is a real wilderness, not, natural, not spiritual.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I'm
can show
saying?
you, and we can get together on that. I can show you a few scriptures. It talks about the miracles and stuff that's going to be happening, even on our route there. Because it talks about, I'm going to deal with you just like I did with your fathers in that same chapter. So was it spiritual when he was talking to our fathers? That was natural and real. You see what I'm saying? So that's a real thing that's happening. And if the prophet spoke it and it ain't happened yet, then it has to happen. That makes sense? You had a question earlier?
No, I got it.
Everybody good? Anybody got any questions? Anything on their mind?
Sure, we can take 5 minutes to kind of, we're going to 2 o'clock, right? 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
What time is it?
What time is it now?
We got like, is it 23? We got 23 minutes?
Yeah, we got some.
It's 1:37.
1:30?
1:37.
Don't sound like you rushing. You rushing.
Okay. I thought it was late. I'm sorry.
We had it scheduled to 2. So if you have any questions, whether it was something last night, something you heard today, or just something on your mind, if you have any questions, we have a few minutes that we can, we can have dialogue concerning it.
It's not what we talked about, but I wanted to ask you, since you're off of the system, did you go before you got to that place? Did you get out of debt, or how did you?
Yeah, I did. And I was going to talk about that, a little bit about that tonight. But yes, that's one of the first primary things in transitioning to what's necessary for us to be overcomers, is you have to address the debt issue. Because 90%, almost 98%, but 90% now, because so many of us are waking up so fast, and just a recent update, about 90% of us are completely and almost totally dependent upon a system. And so in order to transition from that, you have to transition not by the same system. You have to transition because they're not going to give you $1 million if you owe $1 million. You still borrow money. So you have to use what's available, and what's available is the word. Owe no man. So if you don't owe nobody, you got nothing to pay in terms of debt. So that was one of the first things that I had to deal with, or we dealt with, in 98. Started in 98. And we started, we were completely out of debt by 2002, we were completely out of debt.
That's awesome.
We heading their way.
That's all we got.
We keep them around, but we try to get there. Anybody else? Okay, Mama.
Can I add to what he said as far as getting out of debt? Now, we had a party time it was thousands of dollars in debt.
Right.
And to release us that debt, we ended up selling that car. So if you're bound by in debt and have things that you can relinquish, sell to somebody else, that's a means of getting out of debt as well, because that's what we do.
And let me throw this in right quick too. And getting out of debt, exercise the faith in the Most High. Because this is a system, it is backed by a spiritual demonic force. It's a satanic force. So you got access to, we belong to him. And what we did, I took all of our debt. We gave stuff back, we sold stuff. But one of the things we did was we believed that the Most High wanted us to get out of debt. And I quit everything. Now you have to understand, I quit job, I had family, I had everything. I quit believing the Most High. Just like Abraham said, if you're going to take care of me, you're going to take care of me. And that's what I did. Am I right? We had nothing but God. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, no, about several months afterward, I had a $10,000 loan. It was about $10,000 loan we had. I went to the bank, I said, look, I'm not working, but I'm going to pay you your money because I believe. I was just crazy enough to believe. I was just crazy enough, but see, that's the importance of faith. We went back, and my wife was bear witness to this. We went back, we owed $10,000 in debt. They could not find it. Woo! I went back and asked them, give me the paperwork on it. We can't find it. But the manager, the bank manager said, I tell you what, since we can't find it, give me a little bit, and you come back. I went back, he said, we cannot find the debt. You say you owe $2,000. We have searched it. We can't find it. I'm going to give you a receipt saying that you paid it. Wow. And you'll never, even if it come back up, you'll never ever pay it. Now that's the Most High.
Yeah, big time. Big time. I'm going to ask one question too. That might need to ask on the side. Well, somebody might have it up too. What do you think about when you're getting out of there and you know you got your house? Look at my brother and show him. Oh, man, you must be getting out work, man. Let's see you came. Love you, quiet. But come on back tonight, man. Come on back tonight. But when it comes to housing debt, is it better in a sense to get rid of that and get ready, you know, just in case you have to be moving and, you know, as things get a certain way to get out of that debt and maybe start renting? In order to not to be held down?
Well, one of the advantages that we had was we had people who were like-minded, who understood that if you're going to get out of a mortgage or out of a debt or out of that, then you're going to have to practice some sense of group economics, which was what I want to get into tonight.
Please get into it. Yeah. Please get into it. And you can take your time.
So that when you're in transition, you got people who can facilitate and support you. So in that finance, so say for instance you decide, listen, me and my family we're gonna need a certain amount of privacy, but this debt, this mortgage is, we're gonna pay another 40 years. You may want to rent, but in light of owning your own, and that's another thing. We own 40 acres of land. It's paid for. There's so many ways we can go into that. But the transition was to not pay, to not create a debt that's so outstanding. So rent is a possibility if you got a group effort, a concerned effort of people who are going in the same direction, who we're going to own our own. You know what I'm saying? So you're renting for a specific time, but you also got this group that's working together. Exactly. Gotcha. So we're going to own our own. We're not nobody going to own nobody. Mexicans do it all the time.
Yes, right. All the time. They do it all the time. 51 house.
See? That's exactly right.
I'm telling you.
Man, that's good.
That's good.
Anybody else got questions?
Questions? Anybody else? Don't be afraid and don't feel ashamed. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. I'm telling you. When we first heard it, when I first heard it, I had not millions but billions of questions. Billions. And I was like, well, who do we go to? Who can answer this? And it took us digging and digging and digging and digging, and we still digging and digging and digging. And that's why, no matter how many times, you know, there's a certain method we have in our conferences, you know, when the working conference, it's kind of like the same format. But no matter how many times, I always get something different out of it. Like when he brought that out about the 1980 Jewish Almanac, and it says that they was not Israelite or Hebrew, a light bulb went off. Because see, in order to be Hebrew, you got to be Shemitic.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So for them to say that they're not even Hebrew,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That it clicks my mind concerning Esau.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't go off one source, so I have to go back to Esau's a bread.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
He's
where he
Hebrew.
came from.
You know, he's a Hebrew because he comes from Jacob. You know, I mean not Jacob, comes from Isaac. Oh, that story. But what I'm saying is, you know, if you have a question,
please ask.
While we have
Don't
time,
leave here with that.
Don't leave here. You know, 'cause you may have something you may heard somebody else say it. You know,
my sister did that last night. She had some questions that she done heard from it just to open the class up. She did.
My thing is like, I know we all in here we're talking about getting the information from you, but when we're at home, where can we start to be able to study? Where can we find somebody so we can stay disciplined on studying that route to go? So when we do come to conferences, we can have those questions to ease our mind of what we've been seeing.
That's good. That's a good question. Number one, we have some books that man of God wrote that's here that can help you get started. Number two, every Saturday, every first and second Saturday, I'm here at 1 o'clock, where it can consistently stay on a weekly basis in your mind.
That's right.
At 1 o'clock, first and second Saturday at 1 o'clock, I'm here. We don't be here but an hour and a half, 30 minutes discussion, an hour going over the scriptures. Every third and fourth Sunday for the people that can't make it on Saturday, because everybody, you know, not free. Right. Some people really have to work. I ain't gonna tell them come off your job to hear this. Man, that's great. So I open up for them for every third and fourth Sunday. I'll be out here at 4 o'clock. So you can continuously have it done so we can keep their mindset.
So one is at 1 o'clock, the Saturdays are at 1, and the
Sundays at 1. Third and fourth at 4 o'clock. First and second Saturdays at 1 o'clock. We're going to be out here.
And then we're trying to get something structured in the near future, where because technology is booming now. So you can use stream. I know Morris does his live stream. So we're trying to set some up, you know, at least, you know, every other week or once a month we have Pastor Ivan on a live stream. So we'll send out the text or the email like, boom, this is a certain date he's going to be here. So you can click on, because you know we all, that's going to be the easiest way to do it. You know, so we just want to stay in the loop. We just have to. We need provision for the vision.
That's true. That's true.
So that's all. But once we get it, once we get everything set up, like I said, we just started this year. It's gonna be like a well-oiled machine. Well-oiled machine. So, question?
My question is, okay, like I bought the book last night and I fell asleep reading The Final Awakening. I did, because, you know, in the situation that I'm in right now, basically, well, God is the sole provider, but basically living by faith on a day-to-day, you know, basis, on everything that I have. Okay, so I read the material. My question is, can you all, even if it's just one single sheet, guidelines that we need to be doing every day, a checklist maybe that we need to be doing, not even every day, but that we should be focusing on, like you said, being debt free. I haven't gotten to the end of the book, so I don't even know if that's you know, a guideline or something like that is in it. I don't know if y'all thought about anything, but you know, just a step by step, you know, of what we need to do. I know you guys said last night, you said something about awakening, preparation, and then
awakening and restoration.
And restoration. But like, you know, just in a detail, you know, just something, even if it's like 10 steps, these are the things you need to be working on. You need to be working on getting debt free, you know, and give maybe 3 examples. If that means selling off some of your property, if that means this, if that means that, living solely by faith. Number 2, you need to be working on, you know, this. Number 3, you need to be, you know, that would be helpful, because we read the material. Okay, if I was here earlier, I probably would have read that book yesterday, all day. You know what I'm saying? And then you're still like, okay, so what do I do next? I come to the meetings, but how do I apply this?
You're exactly where all of us was. When our eyes came open. Right now, there's certain things we're trying to set up behind the scenes, and it's coming together. Right now, focus on learning identity. Just stay right in that learning identity, because this is more complex and detailed than you can imagine. Because you know, especially once we go into that nation breakdown, prophecy, it's a lot that comes with this, because this is not mainstream Christianity. This is nation building. See, nation, we talking about building, rebuilding a nation now. You know what I'm saying? In midst of a nation that's controlled. So, you know, so when you hear a message to awaken, then you realize who you are. You realize that your constitution is the Torah. Excuse me, that you know, our constitution is the Torah. How we should govern ourselves as a nation. So all this is new, because now you got to be deprogrammed. You know what I'm saying? So this is a big lifestyle change now. So, you know, once you're awakening, and once you're confident in that area and research that thoroughly, you know, through the awakening process, there's a whole another process, because, you know, we ain't even talking about the King Alfred plan. You know what I'm saying? Was it Rex 84? Rex 84. We're not talking about policies in place that this government have in place. You know, when martial law comes, you know, how people of color going to be dealt with.
That's right.
That's real. That's going to happen. That's one, but we don't want to throw all that shit, you know what I'm saying, to scare you. You know what I'm saying? Because like, hey, to tell you, listen, you want to eventually leave these big cities. You won't have to be, you know, off the grid. And then I know, you know, be off the grid. You know, once I met him back in '95. You know what I'm saying? And they was doing stuff off the grid then. From a person that don't understand identity and don't understand that the government we live in that they will destroy you and they're against you. I'm like, what? You know, why they off the grid? You know, why they not enjoying city life and you know what I'm saying? And you know, enjoying the world and everything. Like, I didn't know. I'm thinking, okay, this government not gonna pause enough. Please, they do it. You know, Chemtrail. You was saying something about Chemtrail 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's Chemtrail. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. But then I started saying, oh man, and this is crazy, you know. And this is another reason why I know that our spirits have to be right, because there's a lot of poor and middle class Caucasian people that are being sacrificed. They're being sacrificed. So, you know, and you know, and it's prophesied, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna grab a hold to us and they're gonna follow us, you know, follow us out of here.
That's exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? It's deeper than you can even imagine. We're literally coming out of this mental matrix. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it's so it's a lot. And as this is growing, you know, as we hear feedback, it lets us know what we need to put in place. You know, what we need to do now. Because, you know, he has a book on nation building, you know, apparently.
In fact, I was going to mention that. You got it.
But I got it, and that's something that we're going to go over some things in the book. These upcoming Saturdays. Every Saturday, I mean, every time we meet, I'm going to say a little something. Because that book foundational. So as you come, you'll begin to see, like you were saying, focusing upon identity, understanding that, because identity is going to bring the culture and what to bring to your family. See what I'm saying? That you can implement on a daily basis. As we get the information of him coming off the grid. You know what I'm saying? So that was a great, you got my mind going. By that question.
Got my mind going too. But another thing, you know, that
just grab this first.
Do that first.
And then I'm going to grab you.
And then I'm grab you. And
then you know, it's something not having, not saying that I don't have a head, but right now, and that's something, you know, I got 5 boys and 3 girls, and I'm like just walking by faith every day. Lord, you provide. Lord, you show me. You know.
And it's gonna be that. And like I say, and as like we just started this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, but we see now. As it grows, let me tell you something. Brother doing an awesome job in most points. You know, he took the ball and ran. You know what I'm saying? He took the ball and ran. Appreciate God for his sister and his niece coming too. They part of most points. Thank God for them. So we're just not talking about. It's always came with an idea. We came together and talked, and it just happened. You know what I'm saying? It happened. We praise the Most High for it. But we know that's coming a demand. Despise not the day of small beginnings. You know, it's gonna get real big in a minute, because this is the last move of God. The fulfillment of prophets. The fulfillment of prophets. Holding us for anybody else. Anybody else? On once?
Yeah, let me just say something. Sorry. I didn't know, whether it be the right thing to say, but I want to say, when you guys are coming to ministers, and you're bringing this, a lot of time people, really, my thing is, we don't understand how ingrained in our psyche the word Jesus is. So, like, when I first heard this, I'm thinking, what they got to do with Jesus? Okay, so what I got to do with Jesus? Can I get close to him by that? But what we fail to realize as Christians is that what we're doing is putting a whole lot of power in just that name, not exactly who the person is. When the word says that he honors his word above his name. And then the word became flesh through the Messiah. So when people look at it, they're saying, this, for one, is just different. So I want to hear it. But something you guys can implement is, this is how what we're teaching is the same. This is what I study. Do you study this scripture right here to bring a word to your people? This is the same thing I'm doing. Are you talking about the Messiah when you're referring to Jesus? This is what I'm doing. And that may kind of help you guys when you're trying to, instead of people being like, that's too different.
But this is another thing we have to understand. What Christianity has done, it has made Jesus something he's not. He's not God. Okay, he's the Son of God. Okay.
He called himself the Son.
Yeah, but he's not God. And I know. And when I was sitting there earlier, I was like, you know what? When we first come out of the womb, it's like anytime you say anything about Jesus, your guard automatically goes up. We'll defend Jesus before we defend our mom. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to keep everything in the proper context. Okay? We have to, because, you know what I'm saying? Christ didn't talk about himself. He talked about the kingdom. He talked about the kingdom, okay? And then once we break it down, now there's no disrespect to Jesus at all. There's no disrespect at all. But the way that Christianity have placed him, he's not God, all right? He is the Mashiach. Is that right? He's the Messiah. He is the Messiah, okay? And we're gonna break that down, because you're heirs with God. You're joint heirs. That's two different positions with Jesus Christ. It's totally two different positions, and he fulfilled the sacrificial law.
That's right.
Christianity makes him, you know what I'm saying, the all in all, because they no longer have to deal with the Torah, okay? Because the Torah was given to a specific group of people. And they always say, when Christ came, we've done away with the law, you know what I'm saying, and grace is for the church now. And that's how they teach, but we have to keep everything in its proper perspective, because that's when people you're going to meet on this journey that are Old Testament based Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? And they know their history, and they tough too, and I respect them. And they don't believe in the Mashiach. They don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. They don't believe that. And so you just have to, we'll work it. But we do receive that now, how we can, because, and we're not taking from Jesus, but I'm glad you said that. But we're just, how the Bible say, having dealt with the principles and the doctrine of Christ. Let us go on to perfection, okay? We now, the last move of God, got to understand now, the process, when the Israelites, large portion, rejected Christ, okay, was always was the plan of God to turn it to the Gentiles. Okay? It was always was the plan of God. He was going to take a certain portion of the Gentiles and graft it in. Acts what? Was 17? Okay. It was a certain portion.
15.
Acts 15. And also Romans 11. All right, and Luke 21. There was a certain portion he was going to take. So, and Christ broke the middle wall of perdition. He did. Now, without Christ doing that, Gentiles will never come in. All right? But now, because the time of the Gentiles are almost up, that new wave is coming in. All right? And that message is the restoration of his people. Because we all understand, listen, Christ fulfilled what he needed to do. But now, he got to do the next part, and that's to awaken his people. And it's all about Christ. In fact, we operate in what Christ said. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Does anybody, how can I word that?
You're right.
We operate on what he said, because every covenant is basic. He's the foundation. He's the one that seals every covenant. So even when he said, well, I don't want to get into a teaching mode, but basically everything that we do is based off what he left, because he's the example.
That's right.
He's the example of the Father, that what the Father left for us to follow. So of course he's important. He's very important. But when it comes to everybody having a role, function, and position, the Father have a role, function, and position. The Son have a role, function, and position, and the Spirit has a role, function, and position.
That's
and
right.
they all are one.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? That makes sense. So that's good what you said. We're going to work on that. And you know, when we first got into it, especially me, when I first started hearing stuff, you know, when I would talk to people, I try to give them everything. And it'd be too much, you know what I'm saying? If I learned something about Jesus, I say, blah, 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 Jesus, this. And they be looking at me crazy. And I had to learn the wisdom. There's certain words, trigger words, you can't say when you bring in a Christian in. A Christian that's been indoctrinized. You see what I'm saying?
And that's what I was going to say too. A lot of the resistance is there because most of the people in this country that was raised up in this culture are going to have an emotional, a psychological, and a mental resistance based on the disinformation. So when true information comes, you're going to have that. You're going to have you're going to have some sort of resistance. The beautiful part about it is one essential thing, and here's the thing that's going to break it. Every one of us is going to break the influence of what's going on in terms of presenting this truth if we have love one to another. I may get into that, but they're going to know that we're his disciples. That's one of the things that Christianity did. Let me say so-called Christianity did not do. And that's present the true love of Christ.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of it is mental and emotional resistance.
I feel something like this here. If I gotta have a religion that my ancestors got to be beaten to take it, ain't no good for me.
Yeah. And that's, you know, and I took, and that's what this generation is at. You know what I'm saying? Even, you know, they're like, listen, I'm not taking anything. We was made to be Christians. They put us in slavery and they made us to be Christians. Okay. They gave us the Americanized version of the gospel. That's why the message of identity is so important, to show you, listen, this is the reason why we went into slavery. It didn't have anything to do making us Christian, because think about it. 16, what did you start bringing slaves in here? First slave ship was 1635. 1635. Okay, they started bringing slaves over and everything. Now, yeah, we're gonna break all that down. That's the reason why it's so important to identify who we are. Because I'm telling you, people get so caught up in this Pan-African movement. They get caught up in Islam. A lot of folks go into Islam because they feel like, no, I don't have to identify with this white man no more. You know what I'm saying? And you know, they know them. They got somebody on their team gonna ride with them, call them Arab. You know what I'm saying? They do. And they feel like that's a sense of brotherhood. And they run into that. And Pan-African movement screaming black power. We are a chosen people. But I told them that ain't nothing but a fad. The follower, if you want, what they talking about? We gotta have I forgot what they call
42 laws of mile.
Yeah, 42 laws of mile. They want sovereignty. All right, first of all, understand, sovereignty they want is not come by diplomacy. The sovereignty they want got to come by force. And you don't have enough, you don't have a National Guard, you don't have a military, you know what I'm saying? You don't have anything to overthrow the United States of America. Only person that's gonna help up is the Most High.
That's
the only person. We're so boxed in right now. Tell the black woman she God is not going to deliver us out of the captivity we're in right now.
That's right.
It's not going to happen. Then you say, well, Christ did away with the curse of the law. Now, got to understand. They say, well, the curse of the law, Deuteronomy 28 is over with. That's not true. Luke chapter 21, Christ prophesied our captivity.
That's right. That's right.
He prophesied us, you know what I'm saying, we scattered throughout the four corners of the world. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people use Christ like, hey, he wipes away everything. No, he fulfilled his role.
That's right.
He fulfilled his function. All right? He fulfilled prophecy. So,
and then another thing to that, if you look at what happened when the first curse came, Christ came to show us the way, but he didn't eliminate the curse. He showed us how to live over it. Because the curses that came with Adam, it's still here. We still working. He died and all that, but we still hurting. Ain't y'all still hurting, having babies?
Yes, they are.
One that called death. No, we still got to work our brow. No, we still got to do that. So it's going to be a time where he take us away from the presence of all of these things. You just got to be counted worthy to make that.
There you go.
Yeah. Man,
through sanctification.
Yeah. Amen. We got to pull off the European lies.
That's what it is.
Cast down the imagination.
Before Jesus, who's our ancestors praying to?
They're praying to the Father. They're praying through the Father. But then when he came, he said, no, whatever you ask in my name.
Now they knew of a Messiah. But amen, Jesus even taught prayer and worship to the Father.
Yeah.
Because he told that lady at the well, he said, they're going to worship the Father.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you definitely understand that. But some people try to say that and be like, well, there ain't no need for no Messiah.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the same thing. You say, ain't no need for no Messiah. I don't get a Messiah.
Yeah.
That's not what I see.
I know, no,
I understand that. But I'm saying some people think that.
Some people think that Old Testament brothers take that position. You know what I'm saying? Well, we was praying to Yehuda or Yah way before. You know what I'm saying? Your so-called Messiah.
So we're agreeing with what you're saying.
So we're agreeing with what you're saying. Yeah, totally agreeing with what you're saying. It's complex now. It's deeper than you can imagine. But we don't want to throw all of it at you at one time. Now I know some of y'all like me. When I first heard this, I could have stayed here 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14 hours. I mean, I had so many questions. You know, so what I'm saying, whatever questions you have, you know, when you come back tonight, you know, whatever question you have, but once we leave after tonight, you know, we're gonna be gone more to be here. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking that's all your questions. But while we're all available, you know, I mean like you're gonna